What's really good, Knicks Film School? You are now tapped into Casual Friday live on the KFS YouTube channel. Like this video if you love what you're hearing. Comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. It is a little bit after 2 p.m. and we are live and direct to talk about Knicks basketball on a Friday. And I had to bring the Casual Friday OG, Shawn with a W. Please say the W is in the building for his first Casual Friday appearance of the season. Shawn, tell the people how you feeling, man. It's good to see you on the digital ways again.
I'm feeling good, but I must correct you. I am not Shawn for W. I am Shawn with a WNBA title. Because as you can see by my shirt, which is so new, I still got the sticker on it. Where's the sticker? Right there. Sticker's right there. Right there. It's under there somewhere. Move the mic out the way. Right there. I will be celebrating the fact that New York has won a basketball championship for the first time in not one, not two, not three, but 51 years. And to all my fellow New Yorkers out there, do not let anyone tell you that this championship doesn't count. It's not major. It's not important. This championship counts. Listen, the Liberty are the only people that can bring Knicks fans and Nets fans together. So make sure you get out there, you get your merch, listen, I got a hoodie on the way. I got 3 towels. Oh, hold on. I got towels. Look, I got towels. I got 3 of these joints. I got a hoodie on the way. I got this t-shirt. We are on BS all the time because listen, if we had lost, listen, look what they doing to the Yankees. If we had lost, they would have been on our head top. So we out here. Let's go Liberty.
Shawn, breaking news just came through the airwaves. My Fanatics merch delivery has just come in. We've just been delivered.
Yes,
the Eagle has landed. Lady Liberty has entered the chat. So right after this show, if I would have known you got your merch, I would have went and checked the room to see if mine came through too. So we would have definitely been twinning. But it's all good because the chip is here. And you know why it counts? It counts because New York won it. And it doesn't count because the other cities did not win it. So it's okay. They're going to be all right. And if they're not, it doesn't matter. Because that's the same way I feel about these New York Knicks, because if you ain't with the squad, then you against a whole nation of fans. Shawn, let's take it to the vibes, man. We got a week under our belt. So far. We can change if you want to get analytical with it. Tell me what the vibes are like for you.
All right. So the vibes for me are incomplete, but that is because, like you said, it's week 2. The Knicks have played 4 games. So for me, the vibes are incomplete, but they're ascending because after Wednesday night's game in Miami, I think there were a lot of to quote the quarterback of the Gotham City Football Club, New York Jets, that was a RELAX game because what I was seeing on the timeline, on respected media outlets, unrespected media outlets was crazy. But for me, I try not to make any judgments. I'll say this. The vibes are good. The vibes are very, very good. Mm-hmm. If you want me to grade the team, the grade is incomplete. But the vibes are good because we went down to South Beach and we put them in the dirt like we've been doing for a while. I said it from last year. I said last year that team ain't better than us. I will stand on business this year and say that team ain't better than us. I don't care about injuries. I don't care about what they got. I don't care about what they don't got. They can't fuck with us. Excuse my French. So the vibes are good. There is room for improvement, but they are much better than what they were 72 hours ago. That's for sure.
Right. I like that. Yeah, I'm talking about the early vibes. We ain't giving no grades yet. Listen, it would go against our New York City public school training to give a grade in what, November? Those grades are coming through though. For y'all kids that still watching, do remember. If I do remember, y'all probably getting the mid grades right now before the end of the semester. Wait, did we have semesters in high school? We did, right?
We have marking periods.
Marking periods. There we go. We throwing it back. Yeah. Yeah. If you're in school, market period
is
be on deck, because they serve it up right before the holidays so that you either get presents or you get the opposite, whatever that is, right? Mm-hmm. So my vibes right now, my vibes are stable because a lot of y'all were doing a lot. A lot of y'all were doing a whole lot with the Knicks after a few games. I saw referendums on the Mikal Bridges trade after that stinker in Boston. I've seen a lot. I think they're stable now because you're starting to get a sense of who this team is becoming. So if there's one takeaway that I have so far from watching them, is that the Knicks trademark branding, like their identity, that the trademark identity is still there. It's just packaged differently, right? It's like I could be known. You could have a company who's known to deliver a certain quality of service, or like, hey, if I go to Chick-fil-A, they all supposed to be nice, right? They're all supposed to be nice. You're supposed to get exceptional customer service. That might be delivered in different ways, but the standard remains the standard. And I'm starting to see that New York grit, that grind, that taking pride in defense, that bravado where you're not going to walk all over the Knicks. If you play the Knicks, you're going to feel it. It's going to be a tough game every game from game 2 to game 82. Because, game 1 is the outlier. But from game 2 to 82, you're going to have a rough go about it. And I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see players on the team adopt that identity. So it's really dope to see. So I feel stable because it's easy to get caught up in the overreactions. And of course, folks need content, so they're going to get into the overreactions. But for me, after 4 games, I could say that I feel stable because I see the vision. I can see what the puzzle looks like. I got the picture. So now it's a matter of putting those individual pieces together. Mute. Come on, bro. We went through a whole pandemic. We went through a whole lockdown. Let me say that.
Brother, I do like 4 years. You think I get this spot right by now?
It happens. Bro.
Yeah. To your point, there are certain people need to get content. And shout out to, I forget who said it on the timeline, but it was one of the women of Knicks Twitter. So shout out to her. She said there's always more spaces when we lose than when we win.
Of course.
And some of the content in those spaces, good Lord. But whatever. You spoke about, 2 things that I want to touch on. One, the standard and the blueprint. As you can see right here in the background, this is not a Emmy. This is a Ravens thing. I'm a Ravens fan, and my
shout out Dia de los Muertos. I see it's a skull, right?
It is a skull. Got this in Cancun. The team I hate the most are the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I have tons of respect for the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, and he has a quote that is, "The standard is the standard. You do not deviate from who you are or what you're about."
Exactly.
This franchise, this basketball club has a standard. It has a culture, and we don't fit you. You fit it. And when we acquired Karl-Anthony Towns, there were a lot of concerns about, well, what about his defense? What about his effort? What about his this, that, and the third? And I said, you know what? If there's any team in the league that can get someone to fit to what we do, to what a particular team does, it's this team. Case in point, I saw OG Anunoby walk on the Garden floor in Game 7 with one hamstring and start. The standard is the standard. And you will see that it may take a week, it may take a month, it may take a quarter, but the standard is the standard. And the one thing about the standard is defined by the culture, and the culture of this team is, listen, be yourself, just play hard.
Right.
Now, on to the blueprint. The blueprint, and I think that's what kind of caused the agita in the fan base. What's the blueprint? Because you have this, you acquire this center who can shoot threes, who is for the first time in the Tom Thibodeau era, we have that's not true. That's not fair to Isaiah Hartenstein. It's very rarely we see a center with an offensive skill set. And I believe that Isaiah Hartenstein had more of an offensive skill set than he showed. But when you bring in Karl-Anthony Towns, and now you have 5 players, 4.5, depending on what day it is, depending if a certain player wants to look at the basket or not. You have 5 players that can shoot from the outside. Mm-hmm. So what's the words we heard since the trade? 5 out, spacing, this, that, and third. And I think the agita that we saw was there are certain times we saw, and I said this on the playback with John and Andrew, that it seemed as if the Knicks were still playing like it was the spring of 2024, when we were down 3 starters and Jalen had to do too much and Josh had to do all this, and it was like, nah, like we don't. And listen, old habits die hard, right? And then the conversation, especially after the game against Cleveland, when Cat took 8 shots, it's like, what's going on? And I understand that. It was always going to take time, but at some point, and even when it came to like, they weren't shooting enough threes. It was always going to bounce back. I think a lot of conversation was like, we need to take more threes. And the pushback was, well, to take more threes, you have to create more threes. How are you going to create more threes? And it was like, well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, well, I guess we just got to take 22 threes a game and call it a day. And you saw what happened on Wednesday. Pick and pops, face-ups, ball, like dump it into him. Like, it was a full Cat display. It was a full Cat experience. And that's against a team, listen, as much as I don't think the Miami Heat are as good as many people think they are, you want to talk about the standard as the standard. That place, the standard is the standard. Like, they're going to play hard. They're going to play tough. To quote Andrew Claudio, they can go to Publix, find a cashier, and teach them how to play defense and hit threes. And they had nothing for Cat. And they have a perennial defensive player of the year candidate, and Cat put him in a spliff. So the blueprint is there, but buildings, there's a lot of space between the blueprint and the building. So now we're in that middle, but the standard remains the standard. And because we have the standard, I will not be worried.
And that's another reason why I wasn't really panicking after the first couple of games. I just saw shout out to the Strickland. They just sent out one of those graphs about efficiency and true shooting percentage and pace. The Knicks are playing the slowest pace in the league, like 3 points slower, like before the Heat, ironically enough. And they're above 60% true shooting. Second in the league by a hair to a bunch of other teams. And the Cavs by far are the most efficient team, playing at over 100 pace, right? So there are great things going on right now. There's great things going on with the offense, and at least they are finding effectiveness. They may have to speed things up a bit, but they are finding effectiveness. I think the other thing is, and this is one thing I definitely want to get into. We're talking about 4 games in. Definitely want to get into what happened with Cat and South Beach and all of that. Well, this is actually a good segue. Talking about our impressions so far, 4 games later, of the squad and some of the key players. And what better place to start with the guy who said, I love playing in South Beach because he was in Minnesota, it'd be cold as hell, and then they get to go to Miami for that one road trip because, they only play at the Eastern Conference team's arena once a year when you're in the West Coast, and he's usually cooking, and it was a lot. He went to that South Beach strip, went in his favorite restaurant, and started the hibachi, bro. Like 44 points. He was perfect from the free throw line, 4 of 5 from 3, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, plus 15 on the night. What has been your impression of Cat so far after 4 games?
First, so I would say going into the season, I would tell people, and someone's in the chat has said my mic is low. Hopefully my mic is sounding a little bit better now. Made some adjustments. When people would ask me like what, because listen, I've been on record saying that, before we acquired him, like I wasn't the biggest fan of Karl-Anthony Towns. So when we acquired him, a lot of people asked me, hey, what are you thinking? And the first words out of my mouth were, offensively, we should be unstoppable. And the defense is where things will be designed, where there may be Tibbs has his work cut out for him. Now we have seen, if you have a top 3 offense, or top 2 offense, and a middle of the pack above average defense on a team that has an amazingly offensively gifted center, you can win the championship. We have to go all the way back to the year 2023. So right now, like it's been a roller coaster because you've seen the best of Cat. I don't want to say you've seen the worst of Cat, but you've seen a lot of unrealized Karl-Anthony Towns. Again, that Cleveland game, you can't take 8 shots. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm not going to say it was Jalen to give him the ball more. I'm not going to say that Karl didn't ask for the ball enough. I'm not going to say any of that. It's just like, hey, you brought this guy in. Why are you still playing like it's March of 2024?
Right?
So, but it's just for me, watching a center on the Knicks who can create his own shot has been a revelation. And it gives opponents one more thing to worry about. Now, many people say that offense is more important than defense. Some people say offense is more valuable. I say offense is more valuable, but it's not more important because you will never see a bad defensive team win the championship. So offense may be more valuable because the best offensive player in the league with no defense will always get paid more than the best defensive player with no offense. But it's not more important. So offensively, I'm not concerned at all. I think it looks great. Again, it gives teams another thing to worry about. Defensively, I'm not going to say that we need to hide Cat, but if you have enough competent defenders, and this team has a really good amount of competent defenders, especially wing defenders, and no matter what the salty ass people in Brooklyn tell you, we got 2 really good wing defenders. And with Tom Thibodeau as your head coach, they should be like the floor should be above average defense.
I don't even worry about Cat's defense. I think I don't know. He seemed more like a better wing defender than in the paint defender, than a rim protector. He's been able to scramble and hold his own on the wing. He's been a little bit of a deterrent at the rim, but I've seen him alter shots on the perimeter as well and still be able to grab 10 plus boards. I think with anything, he'll get better. And I think playing under this version of Tibbs, the more evolved, more wise, being more amenable to your players and your personnel, and really continuing to learn those defensive fundamentals is going to improve his defensive game. I don't have any issues with that because what was the one thing that we said about this team throughout the years? They need to be able to adjust. They need to be able to adjust to everything that's going on If something isn't working in one game, you change it and apply it to the next game and see if that works too. They have to engage in experimentation. And that's what this team has done over the past few years. The first 20 games are pretty much sizing up your opponent, seeing timing their punches, and seeing what their overall strategy is before you go in the middle rounds and start to take over and you apply your game, right? You impose your will. That's what they're doing right now. And you've seen it from the Cavs game to the Heat game. They made it a point to get Karl involved, and they did. And he wasn't capping about what he does against the Heat. 21 points, almost 22 points, little bit over 9 rebounds, 42% from 3-point he's shooting against them, over a 1 block a game. The Heat are one of those teams. The Heat might be his Julius Randle Sacramento Kings. Right? Like that's how he's giving it up anytime he plays the Heat. So they made it a point of emphasis. And I think it wasn't just that they made him a point of emphasis. He took that game over. He made Bam look like a pedestrian defender. It didn't matter who guarded him at all. He was going off. Absolutely. And I think what this identity of the team, from what I saw from the Cavs to the Heat, one thing I'll say, they're going to need someone else to score off the bench. You don't want to be overly reliant on one person to be able to score. Like, I think Deuce is going to be a legit 6 man of the year candidate, but it can't be him alone. You have to have positive offensive contributors to the bench. I think Precious is going to do that well when he comes back. I think Precious is going to give some points off the bench. Hopefully, whether it's Shamet or Matt Ryan or whoever they have to be that extra shooter, they'll be able to do it as well. But I do think they're going to need more punch off the bench because that game collapsed when Brunson went out. But at the same time, especially in the regular season, you can't be overly reliant on your starters to hold leads. The defense, the bench at best has to be bend, at worst has to be bend, not break. And I think that's one thing that I saw. The other thing was they turned up the defensive intensity. Like, they made half-to-half adjustments. Funny enough, Cavs Knicks and Knicks Heat looked like inverses of each other. Like, the Cavs played the role of comeback kids on Tuesday, and then what was it? Monday. I'm wild. That was my birthday. How did I forget? So Monday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Monday, the Cavs played that role, and the Knicks played the Cavs role on Wednesday, where they weren't hitting the boards like that in the first half, and then they took over in the second half, and then they just elevated their game. They had that 35-22 run in the third quarter to take a hold of the lead. And what I think, Shawn, the identity of this team is going to be is we're going to play good enough defense that this becomes a shootout. And there's probably only a handful of teams that could beat us in a shootout when we're locking up. Because the Knicks will get the key stops that they need to get. And at some point, that defensive intensity is going to ratchet up. But they have the offense to where once they snatch the lead, they won't relinquish it. Now you're getting into shot for shot, and you can't do that. It's going to be few teams that go band for band with the Knicks from beyond the arc and just scoring in general and efficiency too. So that's what I think is a little different, other than getting in the rock fights and seeing who bleeds less. You know what I mean? So Mikal Bridges, he fixed that jumper, huh?
You can't fix something that was never broken.
Oh, big bar. Come on now. Big bar.
I need like a flex bomb. I should have had a flex bomb ready.
Hey, I got you right there.
Like, the whole Bridges thing, like, man, and people are saying like, oh, he, like, against Boston, oh, he changed his jump shot. He went back to the old form in the second half. No, he didn't. You know what happened? Shots didn't go in the first time. Shots went in the second time. Look, man, listen, there's a lot of people. One, we know that the lights are brighter here. Jared Allen will tell you that firsthand. So there's more of a spotlight on us, and the things that this franchise does is scrutinize more than most other franchises. Number one. Number two, there is a large section of outsiders who live over the bridge. You know which bridge I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean Williamsburg? They be in Williamsburg, right? Getting the vegan jerk chicken, wearing brunch boots, and doing all of that.
Exactly. They are trying. It's just fun watching them. Exalt Mikal to the highest praises upon him for a year and a half, and then act like he was a complete bum. Now, there's one account who I'm not going to name because I'm not going to give them the pub, is constantly tweeting about. One day, maybe I will when I'm feeling petty. They're constantly tweeting about Mikal this, Mikal that, Mikal this, Mikal that. To that account, listen, your lottery odds do not increase by tweeting about Mikal Bridges more. I promise you, they will stay the same. Okay? So with Mikal, I'm not worried. Was I slightly concerned that, like, all right, well, you've been like a really good 3-point shooting most of your career. Why are you trying to fix something that ain't broken? But guess what? Wasn't broken. So shout out to him. And then one other thing about Cat, because you said something that kind of struck a chord with me when it came to like, defense and rim protection and stuff like that. Yes, Cat on the wing, I'm not concerned about. We saw in the playoffs this past year. He's for a center. He did a very good job on Kevin Durant. Did a very good job on Nikola Jokic. It is the rim protection that concerns me. Not that because I don't need him to be freaking Dikembe Mutombo, God rest his soul. But the head coach of New York Knicks worships at the church of rim protection. And when it comes to, you spoke about flexibility. That's where it's like, okay, are you going to sell out? No, are you not sell out? Are you going to deviate from your core in order to win a basketball game? Because I'm not concerned about the regular season, the Knicks, the same way how Indiana can show up and will roll out of bed and get 31 wins simply because their offense is better than anyone else's. The Knicks should be able to roll out of bed and get to 40 wins, 35 wins, simply because we will outplay you and out-tough you, out-physical you every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we play Boston, because ultimately that's, unless something goes wrong, that's who we're gonna have to play. If you want to sound an alarm, and shout out to XJ, because him and I were kind of on this, and we're discussing this in the faculty chat. Like, Boston's going to say, oh, you want to have rim protection at all costs? Cool. This is what we're going to do. We dare you to stop doing what you want to do to deal with this. But we have 6 months to figure that out. So I'm not worried. But back to Mikal. Listen, man. I think sometimes people think the definition of a really good defender is he held your dude to 4 points, and if the dude scored like 12, if the dude scores more than 12, you suck. Not like he will be fine. This team will be fine. Everything will be fine if we stay healthy. Knock on wood. Like Jeff, we've been in this game too long to overreact to week 1 and week 2. We've been in this game entirely too long. So I'm not gonna overexalt like Cat's performance. Although if you followed him, that something like that's gonna surprise you. But I'm definitely not gonna over-index on, oh, this didn't work. What am I gonna do? The sky's falling. Like, we've been doing this for too long.
Casual Friday live. Jeff J. Shawn with a WNBA championship. We are talking about the Knicks, the week in review, and the week coming up. Definitely get your comments in the chat. If you got a comment, send it through. Use the hashtag KFS. If you send a super chat, we love you. It's not required, but it is appreciated. And we'll get it up. We'll answer what you got. Let me get this super chat up. Thank you, Jessica Elsener. Shawn with a W is always a W. Jeff J have been killing it. After 20 games or so of gelling, Karl will find a new level. This team will be deadly. Let's go Knicks. And yeah, just like you said, Shawn, they got time. And I think what we've seen so far has been promising, to say the least. It's easy to overreact after 1 week or after 4 games, but I'm just looking for progress and things that I see, if they keep doing it, that they can reach their ceiling as a team even quicker and maybe even shatter through it and defy our expectations. You feel me?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, as long as this team stays, I picked them to finish third in the East. I know some people are gonna be like, well, last year they were second. It's like, yeah, but like with bringing in new players, like Jess said, hi Jess, love you. They have to gel. But I'm not worried. Like, just be a top 3 seed. Like, just don't be like fourth. Just don't be below 3. Like I think there have been 2 teams who have won the championship seeded below 3rd. One was a 4 and one was a 6, and none was a 5th. I think the only 5th seed I think only one 5 seed made the finals, and I think it was last year's Mavs. So just stay top 3 and we'll be fine.
For sure. Talking about Mikal, he is in the 97th percentile of mid-range jump shot efficiency per cleaning the glass. So this just furthers my theory, which is going to be fact, that Mikal Bridges is the prince who was promised of DeMar DeRozan's mid-range mafia. He is the next in the family to step up. Once DeMar has relinquished, Mikal is the next in line to run the mid-range mafia. Like this dude, it's pretty mind-boggling. He does 61% effective field goal percentage, over 60% true shooting, because he's taking a lot of middies, and he's hitting on his 3-point shot too. If I'm not mistaken, he is, what is he on this big one? 36%, which is that in line with his is that in line with his career? It's a point. It's almost 2 points off, a point and a half. But 4 games, rounding into form, he's hitting the shots that you're going to need to hit in the playoffs. He's effective on that now. He continues that. I also shout out to the faculty chat in KFS when we were discussing how the Knicks were going to generate more offense and what they need to do. I just threw it out there and said they need to run Mikal Cat pick and roll. They need to run more to let Mikal be a on-ball creator, because I think we do have as the Knicks, I think they have on-ball creators. It's just Mikal. He doesn't have to be the number 1 option, but he can use his number 1 option experience in order to elevate what's going on the court. Josh Hart, he knows how to facilitate and get people in their right spots and keep the machine running. And even Cat, I would encourage Cat to be more of a playmaker. He made a post pass, spun to the baseline, and hit Mikal Bridges for a corner 3 that looked wild. I also said Cat was going to drop 30 on the Heat, and I got that wrong. He dropped 40 plus. He dropped 44. So it's cool every once in a while. I should have put that on the timeline for posterity. It's cool every once in a while to be right, but this is part of what I said I was seeing before. And this is also a part of the filling out process and them getting to know each other as basketball players and on the court. Because the first 3 games, they looked like 5 guys that just ran pickup together, but they just gelled because they were 5 intelligent basketball players who knew just how to run offense. Like if you ever play pickup ball and you all of a sudden start running plays and you never played on a team with these guys before, you just knew what to do.
Yes.
Like I've had that experience where we've run an offense and we all look at each other like, oh, all right, we know what to do. Because when you have that basketball IQ, it's easy to be able to run with each other. So shout out to the Liberty and shout out to the Yankees and to the Mets for ensuring that this Mikal Bridges jump shot gate didn't last longer than a week. Because, wow, if we didn't have postseason baseball and championship Liberty ball, this would have got out of hand. I know there's stories that need to be told, and I'm not going to front. I was kind of looking at Mikal a little crazy. Like, all right, professor, I think experiment 1 didn't work out. Let's iterate 2, 3, 4 through 100 if you need to. But I think Shawn, it just looked like Mikal stopped thinking about it because he has the new form. He just stopped thinking about it, and now it's smoother. He got the hitch because I think he was in his head. And once he just balled out, now we're seeing the fruits of his experimentation go into practice.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in his role in Brooklyn as a number one, like he was clearly overextended. It's not like I don't know, and I shout out to Busy. Busy and I used to go back and forth all the time about this. So I was like, listen, you're not, and I used to tell Nets fans, like, if he's your best player, like, what are you going to win? Like, and that's not even a diss on him, but like, key to life is like knowing your limitations. Once you know what you're not good at, you can concentrate on what you are good at. And you can always work to improve the things that you're not good at, but you got to know what you're good at, what you're not good at. And, according to Cleaning the Glass, like his usage, he was at a 95th percentile usage the season he got traded to Brooklyn, and then it went to 87, and it's in his only full season in Brooklyn. Like, you don't want that. I mean, this guy went from usage, his percentiles in usage in Phoenix was 13, 13, 24, 30, 64. Then he gets traded 95, 87. This year after 4 games, it's 49%. And I think that 49% is a sweet spot because when you're playing with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, your usage is only going to be but so high. And they don't need you. They don't need you for that. Here, it needs to be higher, to your point, that on-ball creation, that playmaking, like that, you need a little bit more of that, but you don't need it to the level where it was in Brooklyn because we have other guys. Listen, even OG will put the ball on the floor once or twice and like, I will dribble into a midi, right? So I was never worried about him. I think he's in a good spot. And I think you'll see in more of an egalitarian offense. That will be the goal because some nights it might be Mikal, some nights it might be Jalen, some nights it might be sometimes it might be Cat. Some nights Juice may come off the bench and just light it up, right? So I think I'm so not worried about this team, and I'm not worried about Mikal Bridges because he's clearly, like, to your point, even though him and Josh and Mikal played together, it's been a while. But to the other point you made about, sometimes when you're playing pickup with someone you never know, some people you don't know, after like a few possessions, you realize like, okay, these people know where to be, and I know where to be, and then it just starts looking like you played before. Like certain people just start cutting to the basket. Certain people just know like, okay, you move from this spot, I'm gonna fill this spot. Things like that.
For sure. That's the type of stuff that we want to see. What do you think about the volume, lack thereof, of the 3-point shooting? Well, actually, hold that thought. Mr. Claudio drops a dub on the super chat. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you. And that is an awesome PFP on your YouTube comment. Sup, gents? Completely hypothetical question for you both based on a completely made up scenario. If you could live and work somewhere for the next 14 years with unlimited money, would it be the Bronx, Queens, or Pasadena?
Yeah, okay.
Do we only have one choice or do we have two?
No.
Can we make one choice or two, or do we have to?
One. So I would say, all right. All right. If I could live, okay, first of all, here let's keep it a bean. Listen, if I can make a ton of money and choose where to live, I'm probably gonna live in Manhattan, not the Bronx or Queens. So I think that's out because you can easily get to the Bronx and Queens from Manhattan. Hypothetically, if one workplace is in the South Bronx and the other workplace is in Flushing, hypothetically, I sure as shit would not live in Pasadena because I don't like traffic. And I don't want to be, listen, man, I've been on the 10 at 8 a.m. in the Saturday morning, bumper to bumper traffic. That shit is not fun. Even if you have a driver, That shit is not fun. So me personally, I would look at, if I could, if the money's the same, because he says unlimited, so it's unlimited anywhere.
Right.
I would then want to look at the workplaces. And if one workplace has a history of being very, very good at their job and winning lots of awards and getting trophies for those awards, like maybe they've won like 27 of them. And if the other workplace, when it comes time to like getting awards, like, every industry has awards, right? Right.
Yeah.
And imagine if your company were around for 63 years and they only won the award twice in 63 years. I would say, well, I'd want to work at the place where I have a better chance of winning these awards, than the place that, the place that's won 27 awards versus the place that won 2. But that's just me. Jeff, what say you?
Well, first thing I will say is Shawn in Pasadena with the driver. Holy moly. I didn't know this one we was going with it today. I didn't know. I just be in traffic by myself in the car. I didn't know. Well, we had to tell Fritz, can you please take the 405? Fritz, can you please take the 405?
I can't stand you. I don't like this guy.
That's first off. Because I didn't know we was giving it up like that. But I pour into you, brother. I pour into you. So what about hypothetically, if despite the history of the one company with all the awards, that company hadn't won awards since the last decade or decade and change, and they've had opportunities to win these awards, but another company kept stopping them, even though the other company might have used the dark arts and nefarious means a couple of times to win those awards. The awards were said what? I don't know. There is pros and cons. You also got to factor in coworkers. You need to work with reliable coworkers and to have the best experience. So if one side has coworkers that show up during the off season, during off peak, but when we're in our busy season, that's when they take PTO, or that's when they, start missing meetings. Where the other team, or I should say the other company, when they get the opportunity, it seems as though everybody plays their best and they're able to work their best. Like you can reliability is a big factor. Prestige matters. You also got to work with certain people. So,
what about Jeff? You've worked at places and you've had teams, right? Different teams, different locations. When you work on a team and everything is to the last minute, they wait to the deadline for everything.
Sounds like me in college writing papers.
They wait until the last day to get the goddamn project done. And then the next project, they wait till the last day to get it done. And then the next project, they're like, oh, well, you know what? And after the next project, like, hey, you know what? Let's not wait till the last day all the time. Like, let's try and get this done a little quicker. And they get it done quick. And you're like, yes, we've learned our lesson. And then they fool around the next time. And they try to wait to the last day, but guess what? They don't even get to the last day because they got beat. They lost the contract to somebody else.
You can't keep waiting until the last minute.
Yeah,
you cannot.
Yes, like you keep leaving this shit to chance, and eventually chance is gonna push you over the side of the fence, over the cliff. So look, this is hilarious, Andrew. You're a legend.
You definitely are. You definitely are. That was a great.
Yes.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I say we can say the quiet part out loud. Look, it comes down. If the money is similar, I think to Juan Soto, who we're talking about, stays put. But you know what? I don't know. But the funny thing is, when Andrew said Pasadena, I thought he was going to say Santa Clara, because that is who I would be more worried about than Pasadena. The Bay Area, I'd be just
plus
keep an eye on the Bay Area.
1,000, plus 1,000,
plus 1,000. Keep an eye on
plus
the Bay
1,000.
Area.
A little sprinkle. All right. Before we get you out of here, show, let's do a couple more. The 3-point shooting, the volume or lack thereof. That was an awesome exercise in analogical banter, right? I don't think I'm that worried about the 3-point shooting because I think they're establishing a new pecking order for those shots. They're towards the bottom in 3-point shooting. Them and Miami decided today is the day we are going to be different than we were before. They put up 43s apiece, I believe. But I think I'm more concerned about the types of threes that they're getting and who's shooting them. I think I don't need Cat out there going full Klay Thompson, right? But I think 5 a game is reasonable. I think 5 a game is reasonable. I know we were talking about we might want him at 8 or whatever. I think it depends on how he's flowing in the offense. I also think they need to get easier threes. There were a couple of times in the Cavs game where they were hunting the mismatch and they were getting threes off of that, which I love. I'd love to see more of that catch and shoot threes. I think this team will be deadly. One thing that's encouraging to me, OG and Mikal are starting to shoot above the break threes with frequency. Because I think it's cool that you can hit the corner threes well. Eventually, teams are going to force you out to the break. So you need to start shooting those too and get efficient enough to where they got to respect you across the 3-point line, which will just open up the offense. What do you feel about that?
No, I've noticed that also. Like the above the wing threes and the above the break threes are increasing. That's good. That's good. That's a new wrinkle they have to figure out. And yes, the pecking order. Like it takes time to figure out like who. Not necessarily because you don't want to play your turn, my turn. You don't want to do that, but you want to have a idea of like, okay, what does the head coach say all the time? The game will tell you what to do. So you want to go into the game saying, you know what, this is probably going to be a Cat game. This is probably going to be a Mikal game. This is probably going to be a Jalen game. Listen, I know Bill Simmons says it all the time. And with the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla, some days he'll say like, all right, you know what, tonight, Payne Pritchard, you're playing like 29 minutes. We're gonna run more offense through you. Sam Hauser, you're gonna play a little bit more tonight. You know, I'm always a believer of if you're open, take the damn shot. You know, so if you're open, take the shot. If we generate good looks for you, take the shot. The one thing I do want to see is Jalen Brunson is an amazing catch and shoot 3-point shooter playing with Julius Randle last year. I want to see Cat and Mikal. I want to see those looks created for him again. So he doesn't have to work as hard to generate offense because he's really good at it. And his relocation reminds me of another small guard that's really good in the NBA. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to sound blasphemous. I don't want to just be clipped as saying, oh, Shawn said that he's just like, I'm not going to say it. You can figure out who I'm talking about. But I think the 3-point shots. I think the 3-point shots will improve. The quality of the looks will improve. And everything will be fine. Speaking of 3-point shots, the fucking Celtics averaged 51 threes a game through 4 games. That's insane. That's insane. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, threes are bad. Take more mid-ranges. But 51 threes a game is insane.
You've completely eliminated the 3-point shot. They genuflect at the altar of Microsoft Excel because they are following the spreadsheet and they want to play the best offense. And not only are they shooting those threes, they're generating them off of excellent ball movement. Like they're just a machine. It's disgusting, actually. But, you know, we'll see if they revert back to the norm. Shout out to Benji and James Edwards, who was from the Pistons and now covers the Knicks and back home early to go cover them against Detroit tonight. Benji was saying that he thinks that against the Heat, the Knicks were more willing to shoot contested threes. And he thinks that the difference in the 3-point volume between Cleveland and Miami was just the styles of defense where Cleveland was switching everything. Miami was playing drop. And James also chimed in saying that the Knicks' problem was more so, in addition, being slow on the trigger, trying to find the perfect three-point shot. Good shots, turning up good shots for great shots. That's why they weren't taking as many contested threes. And he thinks they still turned down some good threes against Miami. And I agree with that, where I think, you got to put some of these shots up. You don't got to get too fancy. I will get more upset that you don't put up a good three than if you turn down a layup. That's been like my pet peeve, and I keep it real. I come from a different era of hoops where you would never see the court again if you were at the rim to shoot a layup and you passed it to a corner three. Where now they say that that's good offense. So I'm trying to stay off my lawn a little bit with that, so I understand it. But it's like, okay, Josh Hart is good for this at least twice a game. And I know you know this, Shawn, because that's one of your pet peeves, where he'll have the three and he'll do the pump, one step out, and then drive and kick. Where it's like, all right, Josh, put those up. Put those up. And to his credit, in the second halves of games, he'll put those up. It's like more so he fills it out, but sometimes you just got to put them up. So I think if they're confident in the looks that they're getting, and they don't try to play, let me find the best shot we can find, I think you'll see those numbers drastically improve.
No, absolutely. I mean, you 10 for 10, what you said, no notes. Like you basically hit the nail on the head. Josh, shoot more, please. I'm begging you.
Yeah, 100%. Now we go before we get out of here talking quickly about Knicks Pistons. Say Cat has a sprained left wrist. He's questionable. I haven't seen any updates whether or not he's going to play. I think, 3:00? If that thing ain't swollen up, I feel like he's going to give it a go. The Pistons have been weird this season.
So they're the Pistons, is what you're saying.
Well, no, they stank. Generationally stank last year. I'll say they're weird. I don't even say they're weird. They're fighting. They got pros on the squad. Cade is doing his thing, averaging 25 so far over 5 games. Jaden Ivey averaging 21 over the first 5 games. And they got Tobias Harris, all reliable. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. They got Malik Beasley. So shots is going up. They had that game against the Celtics and tricked it off. They should have beat the Pacers. They're 1-4 right now. They could easily mess around and be 3-2. So this isn't the cakewalk that it used to be. I would be a little concerned if Cat didn't play, because I don't think we do not currently have a known variable to replace what he could do on offense on the squad, even for whether it's from inside or from the 3-point range. Bright side, you might see more Huck Porter, you might see more Dadier, and Dadier will not be shy to try to put up them threes. But I do not want to see that. I don't want to see that at Cat's expense, maybe in garbage time, but I don't want to see that. But I will say, from what I've seen of the Pistons so far, and especially this is in the Motor City, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. They're going to have to earn that win. And I think this is definitely another one of those games where we're calling them Wingstop. I'm sorry, Mensa. Like, Brandon is Brandon, bro. Like, I can't. I love the locks. I love the locks, but
I love the
locks. Is what it is. I love it.
This should be the locks. Wingstop is corporate. F that. But
that is true. We can try to make it happen. They are the locks. I'll say OG and Mikal are Wingstop. OG, Mikal, and Josh are the locks. That's as much as a olive branch. That's how I can work on both sides of the aisle to make sure we have the proper nicknames for them. But I think this is gonna be a game for them Wings to tighten up the perimeter and carry the team to a win.
So you're saying Josh Hart is Sheik Luch. Gotcha.
Wow. No, there ain't nothing wrong. Josh might say he's Sheik Luch.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Sheik Luch. So yes, and listen, I'm not gonna lie. I have not seen a second of Detroit basketball this season. But a wise man once said, who coached in New York, you are what your record says you are. So I don't care how many games you tricked off. You're 1-4. You're 1-4 for a reason.
This is true.
If Carl does not play, if Karl-Anthony does not play tonight, we are recording this on Friday live. You're right. We don't have anyone to replace his skill set. You will see more Huck Porty and more Daddy A, but I think we could find a way to beat the Pistons. And I actually feel better about this game that they're not 0-5 and that they're 1-4, because if they're 0-5, it's like, oh, we're looking for this win. We're looking for this win. We're looking for this win. So I'm until Detroit gives me a reason to be concerned about them. And listen, we barely beat them last year in the game where Dante trucked I think it's I can't remember which Thompson twin is on Detroit. I think it's Amen. No, it's Asar. Whatever. Someone will tell me in the chat. When he trucked homie into the boards.
Yeah.
So,
listen, that was nasty.
But I'm not worried about the Pistons. I'm not saying no, we're going to blow them out, but I think we can get the W.
Okay.
And thank you, Andrew. Say that Asar. Asar is a Piston. Amen is a Rocket. Gotcha.
Yes. Don't be confusing them twins, bro. Don't be confusing them twins. All right, let's get one more super chat that we got up. This is from Abdoulaye Diallo. Shawn, is Tibbs the Jose Mourinho of basketball? Ooh, I like this one.
I will say no. Actually, I'm going to say yes.
Why?
Although I think so. For those who don't follow football, Jose Mourinho is one of the most successful coaches in European history. He's won at every level. He's won in different leagues. He wins your domestic league. He won the Champions League, whatever. And he is primarily a defensive guy. And the similarities between him and Tibbs are that they let their superstars cook. Like, their offenses aren't super predicated, super complex. He's not Mike D'Antoni or even Steve Kerr offense, but defensively he's like, this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. So the difference is Tibbs doesn't have the championships. Listen, if Derrick Rose doesn't tear his ACL, who knows? If Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt that year in Minnesota where they went from the 3rd seed to 8th seed, who knows? If we didn't lose 3 starters, who knows? But I think it's a very, very good comparison.
Yeah, I think I would say Jose is more charismatic. He's way more charismatic, but they have that similar charisma where they have their thing. Like, Tibbs, he's going to give you exactly what he needs to give you on injury reports. He has his phrases. He has his line. I'd say Jose has more bars. Like, Jose always has a different bar. Like, he's one of the most quotable managers in sports. Like, if you've ever seen the meme, if I speak, I'll be in big trouble. Yeah. That's Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. And what Shawn was saying to his defensive game, he has a style which football fans call parking the bus, where if his teams go up 1-0 on you, they are playing a 10-1-1 defense on the other end, which means every single defender is going to crowd the goal and make sure that y'all can't run nothing. So it's kind of like it's almost like the OG Cavs back in the 90s that used to run the slowest pace ever. And it was like they'd run every shot clock down to like 23 seconds so that if they had a large lead, you literally run out of time. It's the similar styles. But yeah, I think that is a great comparison. And Tibbs needs to win more as a head coach title-wise for it to really be appropriate. But in terms of charisma, in terms of like fundamentals, in terms of being a floor-raising coach, where if you hire him, you're going to be in contention for something. And I'd say prior to the Knicks run, they did have a similarity of wearing out their welcomes.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing about Jose. Once you hire Jose, the clock has started. The clock is starting, and eventually, whether it's ownership or whatever, you can't have him for too long. I think he had 2 stints at Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. Like he had a stint, they let him go, and then they were like, "Yo, all right, come back. What a little bit more?" Then you got to go again. That's just the way it is. But we gotta get out of here. But Shawn, with soccer, the way they be turning over coaches is wild, or managers is wild. It's like drop of the dime, start of the season, mid-season, and it don't matter. Like they will turn over unless you're Eric Ten Hag, and then you have 100 lives. You have 100 lives until West Ham was of all teams. West Ham was the final straw. But we digress. Shawn with a W. Casual Friday Live has been made better by your presence. OG Casual Friday Live member, drop some bars for y'all, man. Shawn, you gotta tell the people. Only soccer coach I know is Ted Lasso. That's crazy. You gotta tell the people. You gotta tell the people where they can find you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Shawn with a W _. Sometimes me and this guy here, Jeff, and our friend Cedric Shawn host Live from the Mecca. That's live FRM the Mecca on Twitter. I'm in Hoop Spaces for the most days, Monday through Friday at Hoop Spaces, that space. But listen, man, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. And you could also catch me on weekends for KFS Study Hall, which is a good segue to this super chat we have here from Mr. Robert W. Cross, who says, JJ, I can't believe you got the incomparable Shawn for W on the show. Can you ask him when Study Hall will be this weekend? Let's go Knicks. Maybe
my bad, Robert. I saw your chat and then it just disappeared. The hell was that?
Don't worry. That's why I'm here. I got you, my son. I got you. Listen, I'm not trying to do Study Hall on Sundays, but it's difficult because I want Mensa to be a part of it, but Sundays are better than Saturdays, or it has to be like Saturday evening. So we'll work that out. But that's where you can find me. And there's one other super chat, Jeff. I don't know if you saw from.
Let's see. Get it in. Okay.
And this super chat is from Andrew Claudio, who says that background Emmy continues to be the greatest flex. You see it. You see it. And I ain't jealous. I would do the exact. Well, actually, I wouldn't do the same thing. Because if I had an Emmy, that Joan will be right here. I'd hold it in my hand. I'd be like, hi, my name is Jeff J. I'm joined by my friend Emmy, and welcome to Casual Friday. Now,
so I should wear it like a chain is what you're saying. Y'all are crazy, man. Listen, I don't know what the hell happened.
No, because you work hard for that, Emmy. You deserve it because you're second to none in this industry. So, do your thug thizzle, man. Like
the Venmo is in your inbox, Shawn. The Venmo is in your inbox. Jeff J says all social media. Jeff J says on YouTube, I will be on NBA Bet on NBA TV today and the line on True TV. NBA Bet 5:00. The line 6:30. Check your local listings. But I think I do have those times. So you won't. This will not be the last you see of me or your airwaves today. But this is the end of Casual Fridays for this week. Thank you for joining us. Share this channel, share this video, share what we do on Knicks Film School with your favorite Knicks fans or people who love to hear basketball talk. We love to grow the channel. We love to impact as many Knicks fans as we can because that's what we do here, and we can only do it through your support. So whether you're listening on the pod, if you're listening on the pod, figure out YouTube and subscribe, bro, because that's going to help the channel and everybody involved to continue to give y'all the best Knicks content possible. So do what you got to do, and we're going to do what we do. Shawn with a W, Jeff J, Casual Friday Live. Enjoy Knicks Pistons and tap in after for the post game with Jonathan Macri. Same bat time, same bat channel, just on YouTube. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
George Gutierrez, shout out.